Well, good afternoon. Oh, that's projecting, right? Good. Well, it is one of our most proud occasions to be able to recognize our best and brightest, and also recognize the excellence of our institution by having investiture ceremonies to give people special considerations for the work that they are doing. And today we have the great honor and privilege of having the investiture of Dr. Vishy Ramamurthy, who is the, make sure I get the titles all right here, is the WVU Health Science Chancellor's Distinguished Chair in Research and Scholarship. And Vishy has brought so much pride to the institution and is somebody who really does understand impact, mentorship, and creating the right culture for discovery. And as Vishy has led many aspects of our Department of Biochemistry and now Biochemistry and Molecular Medicine, and also Institute, I think it's fitting that we have Dr. Judy Charlton here in attendance, who is such an important leader for us historically as both the chair of the Department of Ophthalmology and I think perhaps the founder of the Institute, as well as being the chief medical officer here for many years. So Judy, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you. And also want to ask Vishy's family, his wife Prima, please to stand up and be recognized, please. And his son Jay, who is in a very dapper suit, I have to say, to also be recognized. And based on what I know about Jay, somebody else might be standing up doing the same thing for Jay someday here. So with that, we have several speakers that we will invite to the podium, but the first speaker that we want to start with in this celebration is Dr. James Hurley, who's a professor in the Department of Biochemistry at the University of Washington, where Vishy did his postdoctoral work at. So first video is recorded.
My name is Jim Hurley. I'm a professor of biochemistry at the University of Washington, and I run a research lab that focuses on the biochemistry of vision. So I've known Vishy since he was an outstanding postdoc in my lab from 1998 to 2006. As a postdoc, he contributed to key projects on retinal guanylyl cyclases and a protein called AIPL1. The cyclase research project followed up on projects that were already ongoing in my lab, whereas the AIPL1 project was one that he thought of and initiated completely on his own. And Vishy was very successful and creative with all these projects, and we published 9 research papers together from the time that he was in my lab. Vishy was an overall positive force for our lab. He's got an innately positive, empathic, and intelligent personality, and he brings out the best in his colleagues. And I have no doubt that it was his presence back then in my lab that helped me recruit several other talented investigators to my lab. Based on a lot of feedback that I've gotten from his current colleagues at West Virginia University, I think that has proven to be a consistent part of Vishy's personality and research style. And while I was in my lab, Vishy also contributed to education of medical students by taking on a significant amount of teaching of biochemistry. And this also seems to be a consistent pattern for Vishy. I understand that as chairman of biochemistry and molecular medicine at West Virginia University, he initiated a new set of courses and style of teaching that better prepares students for graduate school and for medical school or dental school. So I followed Vishy's independent career actively since he's left my lab. So I'm familiar with his accomplishments and his contributions. I hear very positive feedback from colleagues all over the world about Vishy's creativity and productivity. And on an international scale, he's been the dominant force in developing an understanding of the AIPL1 protein and its role in rod and cone photoreceptors' function and survival. His lab also has been making major contributions to understanding of how photoreceptor proteins in general are stabilized and targeted to appropriate cellular compartments. His findings are original, unique, and creative, and his publications are widely read and cited. They're well written, creative, concise, focused. And he or his students every year are invited to speak at major national and international conferences. They use state-of-the-art technologies, such as electroporation, genetic manipulation of mice, viral rescue, and electroretinography. And I especially admire investigators who are not afraid to develop whatever technology is needed to answer important questions, and Vichy is that type of investigator. Vichy is an excellent mentor. His lab has been a great environment for training. His students and his postdocs are very, very enthusiastic about the experience that they had training with Vichy. He's also an outstanding mentor for junior faculty. I know several of the faculty in ophthalmology at West Virginia University who essentially grew up with Vichy as their mentor. They include Saro Kalandevalu, Jinhai Du, and Ezequiel Salido, among others. Vichy has been an important influence that helped them become creative, thoughtful, and well-funded scientists. Vichy also has taken mentoring to a new level by helping to establish and direct an NIH-funded Vision Science COBRA program at West Virginia University to support research infrastructure and get new investigators started in their careers. So thinking back to when I first got to know Vichy 27 years ago, I'm not at all surprised that his career has been so successful, and he's had such a positive influence on me and all his other colleagues. Vichy is an outstanding choice to be supported by this endowed chair. So congratulations, Vichy, on being appointed to this prestigious West Virginia University Health Sciences Chancellor's Distinguished Chair in Research and Scholarship. Congratulations.
That was very nice. I neglected to recognize a couple other people I want to recognize. Dr. Laura Gibson, who is the past Senior Vice President for Research and Graduate Education. And Dr. Ming Li, who is the current Senior Administrative Vice President or Associate Vice President for Research and Graduate Education. All right, so we're moving along in the program. And the next speaker that I'd like to present and ask to come to the podium is Sila Yanardag, who is a postdoctoral researcher in biochemistry and molecular medicine. So please.
Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sila. I'm a postdoctoral fellow in Dr. Ramamurthy's lab. I'm also his former graduate student. It's great to see all these familiar faces here today to celebrate Dr. Ramamurthy's achievements. I have known Dr. Ramamurthy since I started the PhD program here in the biomedical sciences in 2017. Since then, he has been a substantial part of my scientific training and academic growth. I still remember, actually, the very first question he asked me. I tried my best to answer. I speculated a couple of points. It was my proposal defense. I'm trying my best, but no reaction from him. He's not taking notes or not nodding, just tilted his head and listening. And I was getting nervous. Then I asked him, am I right? Did I answer correctly? And he said, oh, I have no idea. I was just curious if you knew. And that memory stuck with me because there were lessons in it for me. One of them is that I can ask questions just simply because I'm curious. I don't have to have a better argument or a gotcha moment. And the second lesson was that he listens without judging. At that time, I had no idea that these lessons were going to actually shape my future as a scientist. I had my fair share of ups and downs in graduate school. As a committee member and later as my committee chair, Dr. Ramamurthy always had his doors open. to listen or offer a solution. Whether for a scientific or a professional hiccup, it doesn't matter. He just tilts his head and listens to you, and somehow he knows if you are just there to express yourself or if you're looking for a solution, if you need his help, if you need an input. When I was at crossroads wondering if I was ever going to be able to actually graduate and get a degree, Dr. Ramamurthy took a big risk and gave me one of his projects. During my first month in his lab, he worked with me very closely. He was side by side at the bench, working with me, teaching, drawing things on the whiteboard, making experimental outlines with me, and even took me to other faculty members to ask help to train me on certain techniques. And while all of these were happening, he never once made me feel like I was being a burden or taking up his time, or he was just doing me a favor. I know it was all genuine. And since the day I stepped in his lab, I felt that my mentor truly cared about my success, about me, my success, and also my future too. I'm sure all of his students and trainees feel the same way, and this is the culture he instilled in his lab. That's why it's a wonderful environment to grow and thrive. Oh, I should also mention, working with him at the bench side by side was tough because he doesn't wear gloves, and it's very tough to watch someone doing experiments with you and not wearing gloves, and you're worried about your experiments at that point. But we got through that too. We got good results. Apart from the scientific training, Dr. Ramamurthy taught me very important lessons to survive in the academic environments too. For example, not all battles worth fighting. Sometimes it's better to let it go and focus your energy on the matters that are more important right now. With his guidance and reminders, I can navigate myself out of the tough situations, both mentally and physically. I also learned from him that one can write a grant in 2 weeks and get scored to percentile only if had one been cooking the ideas in the back burner for years to come and thinking about his project for days and nights. Here we go. Dr. Ramamurthy, your expertise and dedication to my success have helped me grow into the best version of myself as a scientist. Throughout my journey, you had taught me the importance of staying calm and focused, guiding me to channel my efforts toward meaningful pursuits while avoiding the unnecessary distractions. Your wisdom and support have shaped my approach to science and encouraged me to grow with confidence and resilience. I'm profoundly grateful for the mentorship that you provided and the environment you created where I could grow and thrive. Thank you very much, and congratulations again.
That was really, really powerful, and thank you so much. And I think it also reflects so positively on the importance of the role of leadership and mentorship, because this is really a people business. It's not a technical business, and our greatest pride is where we see our students become great in their own right. And so that was really great. Our next speaker is Dr. Tom Mager. Tom is the Jane McDermott Schott Chair of Ophthalmology and Visual Sciences and the Executive Chair of the WVU Eye Institute. We were very, very fortunate to have recruited Tom from a place that some of us were before we came back here. And Tom is an excellent ophthalmologist and physician, but he's also an incredibly caring and open person who has, I think, offered Vichy the opportunity to continue to evolve the vision of the Eye Institute, as well as the work with molecular medicine, biochemistry, and the Department of Ophthalmology. Tom, please.
Thanks, Clay. It's really a pleasure to be here and talk about Vichy for a couple of minutes. It's good to see all his colleagues, his faculty, his students, and his family. So thanks again for letting me be here. There was a famous scientist who studied light, among other things, Albert Einstein. He had an opinion on what made a great scientist. They needed to have very high intellect, but more importantly, they needed to have a strong character. And I think Vichy has always shown strong character as well as being super smart. He also has other great characteristics that have made him a great partner for me. He's persistent, he's diligent, he's creative, and as a department chair, he has the most important characteristic. He has a good sense of humor, and I've appreciated that over the years. I met him through Judy Charlton 7 years ago when I first interviewed to come here. He was the very first person that Judy and Clay had me meet. I didn't know why, and then we spent over an hour talking about lots of different things. He wanted to bring in new faculty, get new lab facilities. He wanted to apply for something called a COBRE, which I knew nothing about, and Research to Prevent Blindness grants. And at the end of that day, we agreed to work on all those things. I had no idea if any of those things would actually happen. And thanks to his persistence and diligence, not anything I've done, all of those things have come true. And all of those things have benefited not only the Eye Institute, but the entire university and the whole state. So I can say that Vichy's been transformational here. I really don't feel qualified to comment on his scientific research, although I have read his papers. As a lowly cornea transplant surgeon, I really don't have the capability to evaluate it, but I do think that his foundational work are going to lead to great benefits for our patients who are blind from retinal diseases in the future. And his team that he's built are really making huge impacts in that. So I want to just close by saying, congratulations for all you've done for us, but the work's not over. We have a new building going up. We need to fill it with great people, and with your help, we'll make it even more important for the state. So thank you, Vichy.
And I'm looking, is Pete here? Is Pete Mathers here? I don't. I know that. I knew he had a class. So what we'll do is, because Pete Mathers was our next scheduled presenter, but we'll save the best for last. So I will go ahead of Pete Mathers with my comments, and then hopefully Pete will make it from his class. So it is really such a pleasure, Vichy, to be able to recognize you and the excellence that you bring us. And I think that for me, the most fun part of working with you is your vision and your enthusiasm for what could be. And that is, you have a rare talent of being able to envision something that is really different and great, and then be able to execute on that vision. Because many people can envision and some people can execute. Having both is really, really rare. And you've done such great work, and your collaborative science mindset is really impressive as well, because eventually we want to be a place that impacts people with the research that we do and solves real problems of real people. So I'm going to read a little bit about Vichy, and then I'm going to make a couple of comments, and then we'll see about Pete, and then we'll invite you up. So while growing up in a coal mining town in southern India, Vichy was inspired by his biology teacher. He later moved to northern India and earned a bachelor's and then a master's degree in pharmacy and biological sciences at the Birla Institute of Technology and Science. His interest in advancements in DNA engineering brought him to the US, and he worked under our first speaker at the, he went to, first of all, he came in 1992 to the US, got his PhD from Wesleyan University in biochemistry and molecular medicine, and then immigrated or migrated to the University of Washington, where he was a Howard Hughes Medical Institute Fellow, highly prestigious position, and learned about the biology and the chemistry of vision. In 2026, Vishy was recruited to the Department of Ophthalmology and Visual 2006. It says 2026. This would be in the future, and you've already trained. So in 2006, he was recruited to the Department of Ophthalmology as an assistant professor, and then immediately secured his first big NIH grant, an R01 grant, in 2007. Since then, Vishy's lab has been continuously funded by the NIH, and currently he has 2 individual grants. There's Pete, good, and has a third with a good score, and God willing and Elon Musk willing, we will see that be funded as well. So Vishy's research is targeted, but the technology that he uses is broad. And he looks at the mechanisms underlying blinding disease, hearing loss, cilia problems, that is a connector between blindness and hearing loss, with the ultimate goal of translating this research into meaningful interventions, cures, and preventions for people. He attributes the research success he's had to the collaborative atmosphere at WVU and the dedication of the students and the staff and the faculty that he works with, but Vishy really sets that standard for others. I think it's really great that Scylla was one of the presenters, and that one of Vishy's proudest moments since he's been here at WVU is being recognized with the Outstanding Mentor Award in 2018 because he was nominated for that award by students. Vishy, as Tom said, is the principal investigator of 2 individual R01 grants, a third one perhaps coming, and also is the principal investigator of a COBRI grant, which is a grant where we train younger investigators in the area of visual impairment in West Virginia. And Vishy and I were arguing back and forth whether West Virginia had the highest amount of visually impaired people or not. I think they do, but if not, we're 1-2 worst in the country. So this is really important work that is going on to not only improve the quality of people's lives, but maintain their ability to have their best path in the world. And Vishy has secured funding from many organizations and very high-profile organizations in addition to his grant funding, which really positions our institution on a national stage of the best of the best. Vishy values the influence of his mentors and for mentoring, and sets, I think, a great standard for all of us to follow, in that our goal and the most abundant mindset that we can have is in the service to others, and Vishy understands that. So Vishy, we are so proud of you. Congratulations today. But before I invite you up to make any comments, we're going to have Dr. Mathers, who's made it here. So very good. So our last speaker, batting cleanup before Vishy, is Dr. Pete Mathers, who's Associate Professor of Biochemistry and Molecular Medicine, the Department of Neurosciences at the RNI. Pete, welcome.
All right, first of all, I'm sorry I'm late, but Vishy had me teaching, so clearly he wants me to talk for 2 hours straight. But because of that, I will keep my comments really short. Otherwise, my voice will go. It is a great pleasure to be here for Vishy's investiture ceremony. I'm really very happy to be involved in it. I had the honor of watching Vishy come through the ranks. I served on the search committee that helped to hire him. I served as a mentor of his first grant, which he submitted from University of Washington in Seattle, where he came from a postdoc. I served on the promotion and tenure committee to see his promotion to associate professor and then to full professor. Things have changed. So instead of my evaluating Vishy, he's now evaluating me as he's my chair. Things are a little different now, but despite that switch, he really does make it feel like a team effort. I serve on the mentorship committee that really is a team effort for people in the department. No other chair that I know of has had this within the Department of Biochemistry, to have the input of other faculty members to help make these decisions. He also has a leadership team for the COBRA grant. And he really has shown great leadership in both of those, as well as in leading our department in the advancements that we've made in developing a COBRA grant in Vision and a new molecular medicine minor program to teach undergrads. All of these things, including new advancements with Dr. Leonardi leading the way, but Vishy's really pushing towards community outreach for the department as well. All of these show his leadership skills. So in addition to benefiting from these strong leadership skills, I've also seen Vishy grow into a world-class scientist. He was a good scientist when we hired him. Otherwise, we wouldn't have hired him. But he really has grown into a world-class scientist, both recognized through his service on study sections in numerous ways, but also basically serving to lead in biochemistry chair type activities. One of the things I learned a long time ago to be a good scientist was to let the science lead the way, rather than taking a mastered favorite technique and letting it basically lead where your science goes. Vishy has exemplified letting the science lead the way. So as Clay talked about briefly, Vishy does a lot of different types of work. When he arrived as a new assistant professor, he was studying a little-known protein involved in blindness in kids that really did not have a clear function. And he helped to identify what the function was in terms of folding other important proteins in making the eye work properly. But he also developed things like looking at splicing in the retina with Dr. Stoilov, looking at cilia and as a model for how photoreceptors work. And it is actually in that role of the cilia that I think the most interesting aspect of his science has played out. A number of Vishy students worked on proteins involved in cilia formation. And when those students brought back to him results that were not fitting with the patient phenotypes, instead of basically telling them to go back and look at vision, he expanded his lab. He allowed the science to lead the way. And to the point where he was working on things like situs inversus, where the internal organs are all backwards, and working on deafness, and working on male infertility. Clearly, none of these things have anything to do with vision, but he allowed his students to follow the leads. And in the case of male infertility, he ended up taking a phenotype present in the mouse and taking that back to a patient and telling that patient that they had a symptom that they were unaware of, and that was male infertility. And this is the only case that I've ever heard of where a mouse mutation was able to inform a patient specifically of a phenotype that they didn't know they had. So I know many investigators would have shut down those lines of research and said, let's focus on vision. That's where my grants are. That's what we need to do. Vishy really allowed the science to lead the way, and he's leading the way in a lot of other ways as well. And personally, I'm glad to be a member of the team. So congratulations on a very well-deserved recognition for your excellent work within the department, at WVU, and across the nation. Thank you, Vishy.
Thank you, Francine. I also want to send a great debt of thanks to Francine Lochniak, who is the coordinator who did all this today that we're enjoying. So thank you, Francine, for your great work. So So now, Vishy, it is your turn to come up and make comments, please.
So I was joking with Caitlin this morning that I have only 20 pages prepared. Um, so since Pete mentioned about the phenotype we discovered, the male infertility, even the patients had vision loss, and male infertility is something we found in the mice. And so we went back to clinicians, and the funny story is the patients were all from Palestine, and the physicians are all Israelis, and they didn't want to tell the Palestinians that they had male infertility. They said their family will kill us. So we don't want to say anything about that. It's a funny side story. But anyway, thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here today for this celebration. And thank you, Clay, for the recognition. It truly means a lot to me and to my family. I also want to thank Sela, Pete, and Jim for incredibly kind words. This recognition isn't just about me. It belongs to so many people who have helped me, guided me, and supported me throughout this journey. In Sanskrit, there's a saying, Mata, Pita, Guru, Deva. Mother, father, teacher, and the divine, in that order of reverence. So let me start with my parents. They didn't understand why I was not entering the software industry and doing a PhD. So just like my friends. So for some context, I arrived in the US in 1992, and I think about it, it's 33 years ago, to start my PhD, just as Microsoft was booming. And many of my friends were already working in the IT industry. My parents kept asking me, why are you sitting and doing PhD? You should be learning some software and making money. So, but still my parents were supportive and patient, even if they didn't quite get what I was doing. So I thanked them for their many years of unwavering support. Right? Just an aside, I just checked. If I'd invested $2,000 in Microsoft in 1992, I would have $3 million right now. So it's better than my 401k. I should have done that. I didn't think about it. So next, Guru, my mentors. Donald Oliver at Wesleyan University was my PhD mentor, an amazing person. And Jim Hurley, who you just heard today, and I assume he's joining us virtually, were really instrumental in shaping how I think about science and life. Nothing faced Jim. There's a problem that needs to be solved. He will solve it somehow. He didn't worry about technique. He tackled it head on. That is a very valuable lesson, a mindset to learn from him. And from both Don and Jim, my mentors, I learned how to be a better human being to my mentors and others. Even now, when I face a big problem or decisions, they are the ones I call. So they are my gurus, and I feel incredibly grateful to have trained under their guidance. When I came to WVU, I was lucky to have multiple mentors, and many of you are here today. I'm truly honored. And Pete Mathers, Al Bereby, Max Sokolov, Jim Lewis, Eric Ogmon, Kevin Daly, we were all part of the Sensory Neuroscience Research Center. And Pete and Al were my earliest mentors. Even before I officially joined WVU, as Pete was talking about, my R01 was submitted and got funded as soon as I came to WVU, thanks to their mentoring. I remember revising my specific aim page at least 60 times. And Jim in Seattle told me, you need to stop. Yeah. So I remember they would go back and forth, back and forth. And so when I first came here, I had appointments in ophthalmology, biochemistry, and sensory neuroscience center. People used to ask me, isn't it very hard to be reporting to these 2-3 different departments? But in my case, it was a blessing. I had an incredible support system. Lana and Mike Schaller in biochemistry were always ready to help me. Ophthalmology stood by me. I also want to thank all the amazing staff at all 3 departments. You kept everything running smoothly and were ready to help at anything I asked. I never saw myself as a leader. Thank you, Judy Charlton, for recognizing that potential. And I also thank Tony Rielini for backing me up when I was appointed as the research director in ophthalmology just 2 years into assistant professorship. I had no clue what I was doing. I was learning all on the job. Thank you for being patient with me, Julie. With your support and many of you who are here, research at WVU Eye Institute has grown into something that we all can be proud of. And Tom Auger, thank you for helping to strengthen and grow that vision. I owe a huge thanks to Laura Gibson, who is in the audience today, for encouraging me to take on a leadership role in biochemistry, and more importantly, pushing me to apply for the COBRA grant on visual sciences during COVID. The entire grant was written virtually because we couldn't come to work. And of all the things I've done or will do, I believe this will have the most lasting impact on the people of West Virginia. And it was truly a team effort. I'm really grateful for that, Laura. But what Laura didn't tell me was how hard it would be to manage the COBRA program. So thank you to everyone who is part of that effort, and you all know who you are, and thank you for doing that. To my office staff, Caitlin, Crystal, and Sherry, you are the heart of my day-to-day life. Thank you for making my life easier. To Rob and Craig in ophthalmology, I saw Rob somewhere here, and to the faculty, students, and staff in biochemistry, molecular medicine, and ophthalmology, thank you for being such a great work family. People sometimes ask me why I started my career at WVU, because my first job offer was University of Pittsburgh Medical Center and WVU. I joke that parking is much better at WVU, which is true, parking is better. But the real reason is that I wanted to train the next generation of scientists. To my students, fellows, and staff, past and present, you teach me something every day, and I'm grateful you're part of my journey. Saro and Easy, both of you who are independent faculty here at WVU with your own funding, you make me proud. And when I'm writing a grant, as somebody mentioned, Pete, you mentioned that I write my grants in the last 2 weeks. Actually, it is even shorter now. It's weekend. That's all the time I have. And my entire crew comes together. And one of our R01 recently scored a 1 percentile, another one 3 percentile on the very first attempt. And I'm very proud of that. The credit truly goes to my students, staff, and fellows who have tirelessly worked and sacrificed their weekends for that. That kind of support means everything for a research program, and thank you for that. Student recruitment and retention takes a lot of effort, and I want to thank the Office of Research and Graduate Education, especially Ming, Julie, and Karen for your support for research. And to Lana and Melissa, thank you for making sure my grant submissions actually get in time. Without your help, particularly me writing the grants in the last 3 days, I wouldn't be standing here receiving this award. And finally, thanks to my family, my wife, Prema, who has sacrificed her own career to support me. I don't say enough thank you. My son, Jay, who teaches me, I wanted to say this because I know he'll be embarrassed. My baby Jay, who teaches me patience every single day. My extended family, my brothers, their families, my in-laws, my brother-in-law, Charlie and his wife, Suja and son Nikhil, thank you for all the bike rides, good food, whiskey, and above all, love. When I first arrived at WVU 19 years ago, there were people who weren't sure we could build a successful research program in vision. But from the beginning, I knew we were approaching it the right way. We put our trust on people. We support our faculty, our staff, and our students. I always felt that if people around me do well, I will naturally do well. When we create a culture where students succeed, colleagues thrive, and we all lift each other up, that is when real progress happens. And by continuing to work together, I'm confident we can keep leading in the areas that matter to the people of West Virginia. Thank you all for being here. This celebration is just not about me. It is about all of you who work tirelessly to make a difference through research, mentorship, and scholarship. I'm proud to be the part of a community that believes in lifting each other up. I'm excited for what we will continue to build together. Thank you.
So we have a tradition that is part of the celebration. We award a medallion in recognition of all of our endowed chairs. So Vishy, please accept that on behalf of the university. And this is truly a celebration of the entire university from the leadership. We also have gotten Vishy not only a virtual chair, but a tangible chair that, please sit in. I'd like to invite the speakers first to come up, please, and we'll pose and get a picture. And then we'll have family, and speakers, and then we'll invite Ming and other of our university leadership up too. So please, all the speakers, please. You're set. Tom? Yeah, one over. Let's just scooch over a little bit here, Christian. Yeah. You guys right there. Okay. Okay, pretty much. Come on up. Come up. No, guys, stay. Stay. We're good. Well, actually, the family picture first, and then we'll do stay. You want, please? You want to come on up? Okay, and you guys stay. We'll all get in. Judy, come on up. Man, come up. I think this will be. All right, very good. Thank you. Well, in celebration of Day of Giving yesterday, we're raffling off the, no, I'm kidding. So we would invite everybody, please, to enjoy the company, come up and see Vishy. Any pictures, I'm sure Vishy will be happy to pose with anybody in the audience. We have food over here. We have a grand reason to celebrate today with the celebration of the investiture for Vishy. So thank you guys all for being here, and I hope everybody has a great afternoon.